this conspiracy is more vast than we thought, and it involves Devin Nunes. I think in some ways, these calls are not surprising because all of the fact witnesses laid out that Rudy was running this operation. But what it does is it teases, what they would be able to prove and the evidence they'd be able to uncover if the president isn't stonewalling. So I think these calls, as much as anything, really bolsters the obstruction of Congress article as they go forward. As in, look at these calls. If we could get all of the calls, we'd be able to put all of these pieces together on what this conspiracy was made up of, who was involved, who did what when.
I have to say, they're surprising to me in that they're only now appearing when the report comes out, that we did not know about them beforehand. And apparently, the members of the committee, or at least the Democrats on the committee, maybe Dan Goldman, the counsel, they did. So why not release that fact before doing this questioning, Jen?
I think it's because they didn't have any witnesses to question about them, right? So you wouldn't have been putting them into evidence as part of the testimony. And I think they were smart actually to hold it back because now people are interested in the report. If it was just a rehashing of what happened over the last 2 or 3 weeks, you wouldn't have the interest that we're now seeing with people saying, wait a minute, there's new information, I'm interested in this, and they're tuning in more than they would otherwise. So I actually think it was smart. And again, if you can't question anyone about them, there's not really a great way to get it out other than just releasing them or leaking them, and I think this has a bigger impact.
Jennifer, Joe, thank you both very much. All right, so new video appears to show world leaders laughing about their interactions, or at least what they've witnessed from President Trump. So how will this affect today's meetings? We'll tell you what they were saying here.
Next time on Vital Signs, what is traditional Chinese medicine?
We look to the whole balance of the body.
Herbs and teas and Tai Chi and acupuncture. Finding a home now in today's modern world of medicine. How are you certain that it's going to work?
Vital Signs, Saturday on CNN, in association with Bangkok Dusit Medical Services. Iconic Budapest, Saturday on CNN.
Nancy Pelosi.
The Republicans are in denial about the facts.
On impeachment, the 2020 election, and more in a CNN town hall. Moderated by Jake Tapper. Friday, only on CNN.
And now, a moment of wonder from Great Big Story. Origami is the Japanese name for the art of folded paper, and most origami is folded from a single sheet of paper with no cuts or tears. I have loved origami my entire life. I pursued it ever since I was a kid. But my study was science and engineering. I worked for NASA doing research on lasers, but throughout that whole time, I had been pursuing origami, developing designs, writing books. Once we have studied and understood the way paper folds and unfolds, we can apply those patterns to things that are very different from paper. I hope by bringing the tools of mathematics into my origami design that I can then fold something that's beautiful and that's unexpected.
For more stories like this, visit greatbigstory.com. Today we live in an unpredictable environment and news races around the world at breakneck speed.
I didn't know what his intention was. I knew it could be obstruction of justice.
My show brings you the latest news and top news makers.
Are you playing with fire?
And we also dive below the headlines to explore vital issues impacting our lives.
It's about right and wrong.
But you have to stand up for what you believe in.
We need to realize that our future is at risk and we need to take action.
Was that kind of mortifying or did you enjoy it? You were great.
It's crucial we make sense of what's happening.
Do you regret that? Do you think there should be nuclear power or more commitment to a clean environment?
New Zealand had its experience and changed its laws. To be honest with you, I do not understand the United States.
Does love have a chance of winning?
I've always believed that.
And fully understand what's at stake.
Alan Paul, only on CNN.
This is CNN.
That video you've been watching has gone viral overnight. That's basically world leaders caught on camera apparently laughing about President Trump at a reception at Buckingham Palace. You see Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau saying here's what he's saying. He was late because he takes a 40-minute press conference at the top. That was to a small group of leaders there, including France's President Emmanuel Macron and British Prime Minister Boris Johnson. Trudeau also says, you just watch his team's jaws drop to the floor. Now, nobody mentions President Trump by name, and they don't seem to be aware that cameras are recording all of this.
You see Emmanuel Macron there. He's, gesticulating, seems to be laughing, and the Princess Anne is also sitting there observing also, which the president might not like.
All right, so in the next hour, President Trump will meet with the German Chancellor and hold a press conference. How will that go? Joining us from London, CNN White House correspondent Caitlin Collins and CNN International Diplomatic Editor Nick Robertson. So, any idea, Caitlin, of the response to this viral video?
Well, the president hasn't publicly addressed it, but you have to say that if the president sees this video of these world leaders grinning, talking about how he was conducting himself yesterday, he is not going to like it, because remember, this is a president who has said time and time again that if he got into office, he was going to change it because he wasn't going to have world leaders laughing at the United States like he felt happened when he said President Barack Obama was in office. So he hasn't responded yet. We're waiting to see what it is that his response is going to be. We do know that he did interact with the Canadian Prime Minister this morning upon arrival at the second day of this summit. Whether or not the two of them discussed it, though, is still unclear, and the White House hasn't gotten back to us yet.
Allison, you noted, I think astutely, the last hour, it's not clear that they're laughing at the president or whether or not they're sharing this experience.
Oh, I saw that as a support group.
Yeah, as commiserating over what happened with the president. It may be a distinction without a difference in this case, because they're having a moment at the president's expense, Nick Robertson, and it comes in a very different setting for